The causes of war are plenty, and all theories can be subjective to combinations of various other factors. There is no single cause of war. However, there have been attempts in social sciences to answer this burning question. In political science, several forms of analysis have been put forth that attempts to discourse on why humans fight each other. Predominantly, three levels of analysis exist, mostly stemming from the 1959 book by realist thinker Kenneth Waltz, Man, the State, and War. This book is widely considered the foundation on which much modern international relations theory is formulated. From this book, Waltz makes the argument for three levels of analysis. These three levels of analysis, which are human individual nature, the state's internal characteristics, and the global system itself. Each of these levels of analysis have several tenets which offer some degree of understanding to the causation of war. Starting with the individual human nature level of analysis, human nature is believed to be the principal causation of war. It is believed that humans are one of the few species of animals with interest-specific aggression, the act of killing one's own species intentionally for gain. Combined with ideals of concepts of social Darwinism, which gives the survival of fittest statement, humans are believed to be self-servient in our desires and willing to kill one another for the sake of personal gain. Furthermore, persons who identify with realistic theory may find themselves in disdain for pacifism, as it is counterproductive to human nature, which is deemed to be naturally bellicose. If this theory of analysis is correct, then humans being naturally aggressive to one another can lead to us wanting to fight our brother man. However, this does not account for our willingness to die for our nation in a vice versa situation, which to an individual would be counterproductive. It is believed that there is a degree of obedience, perhaps in Pavlovian conditioning from an early age, to respect one's nation and be willing to die for any cause as long as their state survives. Whatever the cause behind our willingness to die for our state, the belief that human nature is a leading cause of war is not unfounded. The next degree of analysis of causation of war is the state's internal characteristics. This is a very broad level of analysis, mainly because of how large the concept of the state itself is, and what internal issues may actually lead to war. Starting at geopolitics, many a nation have gone to war in the pursuit of resources to sustain their nation. During the ancient period, it was very common for wars to be started over particular parcels of land considered valuable for purposes of agriculture, trade, or mining. Even into the modern era, you find states which struggle for resources due to their poor geographical conditions, fighting economic and trade wars, attempting to gain an advantage over rivals. Moving from where the country is located to who is within the nation itself, one may find issues such as the regime type and the government belief system to be an aggressor. In the early 20th century, for example, you saw battles between three various regimes, each with the intention of spreading their beliefs, with a population conditioned via propaganda and possibly even tyrannical methods to support their global crusades. Indeed, democracy, fascism, and communism would all find themselves at odds in World War II, with each trying to be the last system standing. While fascism lost, it would be another 50 years until democracy would win ultimately against communism in an extended standoff. Continuing the issues of states internally, other problems include nationalism, which started World War I when a Serb nationalist assassinated the Crown Prince of Austria in an attempt to advance the nationalist cause of Serbia, which was threatened by Austria, which itself was attempting to spread German-Hungarian nationalization on its subject. Austria, in a fit of nationalistic pride, used this crime as a casus belli against the Serbian state. To this point, every country in the web of alliances in World War One had some nationalistic goal, from Russia wanting to support all Slavic states to Germany wanting to expand the German sphere of influence and spread German nationalism, to Britain wanting to exert its English dominance even more over the colonial world. Within World War One also lie the intense militarism which each country was practicing at the time. For many nations, the military was as important as the state and were itching for the opportunity to utilize their new form of killing machines. Finally, on the internal matters of state analysis, the matter of economy has caused many states to seek war for a variety of purposes. Poorer nations are typically subjected to various militia groups, not necessarily the state itself, but mainly due to impoverished people looking for change no matter what. Those who are in poverty may join militia groups, which promises changes, despite the fact that the group may have no long-term intentions on fixing any system or making the world they live in better for them. Back to the matter of the Cold War, while it could be described as a battle of democracies versus Soviets. It was a battle also of economic system, capitalism versus communism. Both capitalistic nations and communistic nations sought to expand their spheres of influence via economic means, which became almost synonymous with the regime type. Due to the game of cat and mouse of attempting to spread either's economic system across the world, both found themselves in several proxy wars which left plenty of unresolved conflicts still to this day, such as Korea. The final analysis, global system, delves into the ideas that a nation reasoning for war is highly dependent on the international order. One of the most common tenets of this neo-realist theory is of power transitions, the idea that states rise and fall and each state is actively seeking a way to undermine the dominant's power. Using a power hierarchy, it is thought the powers under the dominant power, the great powers, are minorly satisfied with the international system and are waiting for the opportunity to assert themselves. Just as they lie slightly in wait, middle powers are waiting even more for a great power to falter to replace them. However, smaller powers, which lie at the bottom of the hierarchy, are the most likely to take advantage via military use to change the international order the moment opportunity arises. However, how true this is does not always apply. Many small nations, such as Switzerland, Luxembourg, Malta, Slovenia, Tunisia, Singapore, Uruguay, and so forth, have proven this fact is false for several years. They found contentment in being small and found ways to make themselves relevant in their region, and possibly the world itself. In fact, many of these nations have gone on to become some of the wealthiest nations on the planet. However, in the power hierarchy, it is believed that occasionally a global hegemon will rise and create peace for an extended period, mainly as no nation is capable of challenging them. But yet again, great powers lie in wait and is believed to strike when opportunity arises. Britain, for example, has twice reigned as the dominant global hegemon, saw their power get diminished from the American Revolution, which led to a revolutionary fervor that eventually led to the French Emperor Napoleon Bonaparte. The emperor broke the British hegemony until they regained it back after his defeat, after he decided it was wise to declare war on the entire European continent. Another era of great peace would reign under Pax Britannica, until the rise of the German Empire, which realistically almost rose to challenge British dominance of the world, and again managed to break their hegemonic power in World War One, and in fact would actually manage to break it again in World War Two with the Nazi regime. Britain would never again be able to rise to become a dominant hegemonic power. The three levels of analysis are certainly not the only causations of war, but offer some degree of insight to why we fight war. Any war can be caused by solely one analysis or combination of multiple. Some may even be started by reasons non-related to those put forth. What causes a human to kill another human will always remain one of life's great mysteries, and why we still choose to engage in war despite knowing the harsh consequences cannot be realistically answered by normal means. In any case, whether it's through these theorems or a new peridium of political science, hopefully one day we can give an all-around answer to war and the causations of it, and maybe one day staunch the bleeding.